Coming up on this week's FAS TV. We are focusing on spring calving. Farmer Jock Gibson highlights the importance of safety around cows at calving time, sharing his experience of being attacked by a newly calved cow. We hear how quickly the incident happened and the impact for Jock afterwards, and how he has put safety measures in place for working with cattle since. A trustee of FarmStrong, Jock also highlights the importance of wellbeing. We also hear top tips in preparation for calving from SAC Consultant Sarah Balfour.
We're predominantly a beef farm here with Highland and Shorthorn cattle. We're a Pasture for Life certified farm, so everything is 100% grass and forage fed, and we're breeding to supply our butcher shop, Macbeth's in Forres. Macbeth's Butchers started, my parents bought the business in 1986 or thereby, and at the time we were farming pure Highland cattle, and now Highland cattle in the conventional market, they're not valued very highly. So to try and get a bit of an extra margin out of them, my parents bought a butcher's shop so that we could put them through there as a premium beef product. We continue with that today with the Highland and Shorthorns, and we're supplying hotels and restaurants. We've got a retail shop in Forres, and then we have a mail order business as well. So we're supplying people everywhere from Caithness to Truro. In 2015, my wife Fiona and I came back to the farm here. Up to that point, my parents had been running it and I was running the butcher's shop. Unfortunately, we lost both my parents in fairly short succession, so suddenly in 2015 we were farming. At the time, we probably only had 100 head of cattle in total on 90 acres and about the same rented. We've now moved on, so we've got about double the head of cattle at the moment, and we're doing that over 600 acres, mostly on tenanted and seasonal grazings. About 3 years ago now, during calving, and it was at the tail end of calving, we had an incident. It was late on in the day, just before supper time, I think, and I was just doing a check round the sheds, and there was a cow that had calved, and the calf wasn't really doing anything, and there was also another calf standing on it, and it didn't seem right. And as I had done hundreds of times before, I jumped into the pen and moved the calf off that was standing on the calf on the ground, and the calf that was on the ground just wasn't moving. It was lying funny. I went down to clear its airways and things like that, and as I got down, the cow that had calved just cleared me off and just went straight through me and then again, and it was really quick. So trying to get off the ground, it's like when you're on straw bedding, it's like trying to push yourself off of 5 mattresses, and you're just in a really vulnerable position. So did a bit of damage to my left knee. It's still not quite right, and waiting for a cartilage operation on that, and we've maybe done some ligament damage. So, and yeah, I was probably on and off for almost a year, and might have even been longer. But yeah, it was a long recovery time, and during that time, my ability to do physical farm work was really compromised. So that meant bringing in extra help, bringing in extra labour as well. So moving on from the accident, we've looked at how we approach routine cattle handling, and mostly now everything is a 2-person job, especially when we're tagging calves. It's just one of those things that we will not do on our own. And we're in a position where we can do that. We have help on the farm, so it's not that it's an easy thing for us to do, and it's a sensible precaution for us to do. Certainly at calving, we're calving indoors, which means that we can get barriers between us and a cow that's calved when we're tagging, just to give us that protected area as well. And it then means that you're able to concentrate fully on the job so that you're doing the best by the calf with minimum stress and distress to both the calf and the cow. Again, other routine jobs with cattle, whether it's scanning, weighing or whatever, again, 2 people jobs, and it would be exceptional where we're going in without a barrier between us and livestock. When the incident happened with myself, it was at the end of a day, it was towards the end of calving, and the weather had been pretty miserable. So, we were all pretty tired and not thinking straight. So what I try and do now, and anybody that's working here, is just to take 5 minutes to think something through before you go and do that job, and it actually saves time in the long run. You've got a better plan as to how you're going to approach it. So we do that, much more conscious about looking after ourselves, particularly during times, whether it's calving or silage making, or those periods of time where hours are maybe slightly longer, making sure that in the run up to that we've all had plenty of rest, and then we've got a bit of time to rest afterwards and really try and manage energy levels and well-being levels as well. The cattle that we have here are Highland and Shorthorn cattle, so they are quite maternal, very maternal breeds of cattle. We select quite hard for temperament, and always have done for decades, whether it's myself or my father before me. The cow that took me out was a cow that we'd had on the farm here. I think it was her 6th calf that she'd had. She was a well-tempered beastie, and yeah, it just, whatever it just wasn't right for that animal on the day. And I think it's important to highlight that it can be the animal that you least expect that will give you a bit of grief. And so, yeah, I think culling for temperament is really, really important, but it shouldn't lead you into a level of complacency that is the job done, especially at calving when hormones in cows are flying all over the place. They do become a slightly different animal if you're not careful. So I am a trustee of FarmStrong. FarmStrong is a wellbeing charity. It started off in New Zealand, and in response to helping farmers look after themselves over there, we were made aware of it and really liked the idea of it, so have brought the concept over here. And really what it's aimed to do is target farmers and crofters to have the tools and tips and tricks to look after themselves so that they are operating at the best self. The most valuable resource that we have on farm is ourselves, and what is between our lugs, and yet it's quite often the last thing that we look after. And as an industry, we're very adept at looking after animal health, how we maintain machinery, how we get the best out of our forages, but we don't talk enough about how we get the best out of ourselves. So that's what FarmStrong is about. It is giving those tools and tips as to how to look after themselves and put it in a context and a language that is applicable to farmers and crofters in Scotland. FarmStrong has a number of events throughout the year, particularly the walk and talks. We'll be at the Highland Show where people can come and see us, and we've usually got some pretty fun activities going on there as well to encourage people to take part, and it's all applicable to how we could be looking after ourselves better. But we have a website as well, which is a great resource for people, particularly the 5 steps to wellbeing, and also looking at the wellbeing bank account. And we also have tools there to check in on yourself to see how you're doing, and then have some of the applicable tips that you can do to help yourself out. I think one of the really important aspects to all of this is that farming as a whole can be pretty hazardous, and we don't always take our safety to be first and foremost. But the other thing is we're here to enjoy what we're doing. And it's very hard to enjoy it if you can't do the daily tasks or you feel like you're not contributing effectively to your farming business. So I think again, it's just having that time to make sure that you, colleagues, family are safe on the farm so that you can get the most out of your farming business. It's a great privilege to be doing what we're doing, but it can be unfun if you're stuck in a chair or even worse, in a hospital.
Spring calving is about to get underway across many farms. Not only is it one of the busiest times of the year, but it can also be one of the most stressful. SAC Beef Consultant Sarah Balfour emphasises the importance of being prepared for the start of calving, running through the key things to have ready.
More often than not, the first calf of the season arrives sooner than you are expecting, so it's important to prepare. The onset of spring calving is about to start across many farms and may have already started. So it's a good idea to make sure that your calving pens and any gates are all set up, they're in place, they're ready to go. There's nothing worse than trying to get gates organised or set up a calving pen in the middle of the night. As I say, usually the first calf does arrive sooner, and 9 times out of 10, it's in the middle of the night. Ensure that your calving pens are set up, make sure the gates are in position. The next key thing to be thinking about is your calving essentials, your calving kit. Have you got everything you need on farm for calving? Other things to think about and have ready in your kit. Do you know where your calving jack is? Is it fit for purpose? It's not had any damage from the previous calving season. Is it to hand? Is it ready to go and get as soon as that cow needs to be calved? It's a good idea to make sure that the calving jack is fit for purpose, there's no damage. Make sure it's in working order. With the majority of herds in Scotland now spring calving, it might be that the calving jack hasn't been used since the last calf was born the previous season or since the last time the calving jack was used. So check it over, make sure it's in working order. The calving ropes, do you know where these are? Again, are these in good order? It might be worth having a spare set, especially if you've been up during the night calving a cow and then you need another set again in the morning for whatever reason. Other essentials and other key things to have in your kit: rope, a halter, lubricant, gloves, various drugs, various needles and syringes, disinfectant and iodine. Iodine for dipping navels of newly born calves. Your calf feeding tube or bottle and teat. Again, do you know where these are? Are they clean? Are they ready for use this season? Please check that the calf feeding tube is smooth, there's not been any damage from the previous season, there's no bumps, there's no ridges which could potentially cause damage when the tube's put down the calf's throat. So have you a supply of colostrum? Colostrum is key. It's vital that newborn calves get a good quality and quantity of colostrum into them quickly after being born to get them off to a good start. It's always best to try and give calves colostrum from either the cow or the heifer, but this may not always be possible for whatever reason. Ensure that you have a good supply of good high quality colostrum at home in the cupboard ready to go when you need it. For more advice on colostrums and what to look for in a high quality colostrum, please refer to the Farm Advisory Service website, where you will find various materials and videos discussing colostrum quality and colostrum management. For those of you that are using a calving camera, it might seem really silly, but please ensure that the lens is clean and that the camera is recording correctly. A camera with a dirty lens is really no good to anyone, and it's not giving you a clear picture of potentially what's happening in your calving shed. Another thing to think about and consider having as part of your calving kit is a notepad, a small diary which can fit into the top pocket of a boiler suit, for example, to make notes as calving progresses. Make notes on cows which calved themselves, cows which maybe needed assistance, calves which needed colostrum, so that you can build up a picture of how the calving season went at the end of the year. It's something to reflect back on, it's something to be aware of. Again, make notes of any cases of scour, cases of pneumonia, to look back on these to see how you can mitigate against these for the next season. As well as making sure that you have the right drugs on farm, always prescribed by your vet, make sure that these are in date, and also make sure that your colostrum that you buy in is also in date. It might be that it's been left over from the previous season, but just check the use by dates. For anyone that's using a calving gate in their calving pen setup, again, ensure that the gate is in good working order, it's not been damaged from the previous calving season. Cleanliness and hygiene are key for calving. Make sure that calving pens have been disinfected, and also make sure that these pens are well bedded with ample clean dry straw. Straw supplies across some farms are starting to dwindle because of the adverse weather conditions that we had earlier on in the year, but it's hugely important to make sure that calving cows and young calves, that clean dry bedding is prioritised for them. Remember that when the calf is born, its navel, that is a direct link into the calf's bloodstream. So if the calf is born into wet, dirty bedding, there's a risk of infection getting into the calf. Again, it's important to ensure that cows are calving down in clean, well-bedded pens or cattle courts to keep their udders clean, so that calves are not ingesting any bacteria when they take that first important suck of colostrum. We've heard from Jock already about how quickly an incident happened on his own farm with a cow that he regarded as being relatively quiet. Never take the risks. More often than not, these occurrences on farm happen with cows which farmers regard as quiet. Oh, she's my favourite cow, or she's never done that before, but it's not worth taking the risk. Taking a few minutes just to step back and think, what are the implications for me getting into this calving pen, and how can I mitigate against the risks? Calving is one of the busiest and can be most stressful times of the year, but it's worth remembering that you need to take time out to look after yourself as well. Jock has already touched upon this and highlighted the importance of looking after your own mental health, making sure that you're well rested, as this will help prevent these on-farm accidents occurring with spring calving cows. For anyone that is new to calving, maybe this is your first calving season, make sure that you're fully prepared, that your calving kit and your essentials are ready. Do you have a plan in place for if you need the vet? Do you know where to contact the vet? Do you have the number handy? If you're not confident at calving cows, or you're maybe a bit unsure, is there someone that you can rely on? Remember, it's okay to ask for help. If you need help, or you are in a situation you're uncomfortable with when it comes to calving a heifer or a cow, ask for help. Be that from a vet, or is it a local farmer? Is it a neighbour who's on the end of the phone to be able to come and offer help and assistance? Don't take any risks this calving season. Starting from the 1st of February of this year, changes came into place relating to Scotland's BVD eradication scheme. This now means that there is mandatory testing of calves of dams that were pregnant when they joined the herd. Her calf must be BVD tested virus-free within 40 days. So it's a good idea this year for anyone who is not BVD tissue tagging to have a supply of BVD tissue management tags on farm at hand, so these calves can be quickly tagged and tested. For more information regarding Phase 6 and these new changes, please refer to the Farm Advisory Service website.